first, let's get the latest from ABC's Alex Perez. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, John. Authorities here today bracing for possibly another day of protests. Now, demonstrators took to the streets immediately following the judge's decision Saturday to acquit Cleveland police officer Michael Brelo in the shooting deaths of Timothy Russell and Melissa Williams back in 2012. Both were unarmed. The couple led police on a nearly 25-minute car chase. Once cornered, several officers were firing when Brelo jumped on the hood and fired 15 shots into their windshield. The judge ruled Brelo's use of deadly force was reasonable. While there have been some arrests, protests here have been, for the most part, peaceful. The victims' family members outraged by Brelo's acquittal. The Justice Department has announced they will be reviewing the judge's decision. John?
Thank you, Alex. Joining us now, Ohio Governor John Kasich. Governor Kasich, there's a lot of tension we're seeing in Cleveland over this verdict. We heard from Congresswoman Marcia Fudge saying it is a stunning setback, adding today we have been told yet again our lives have no value. So let me ask you, do you believe justice was served with this verdict?
Well, look, the verdict is the verdict, John. What I will say is that I think the people of Cleveland have handled this. I mean, they should be so proud of themselves, and we should look at Cleveland as a model. The mayor, former Senator Nina Turner, some of the ministers, Todd Davidson, these are people who have said it is proper to protest, but at the same time, no violence, because violence in a community only destroys the community. Months ago, John, I created a task force on police and community, and I think that's also helped to send a message, I hope, around the state that we need an integration of police and community, and there were two recommendations up front: a policy regarding the use of deadly force statewide in Ohio, and secondly, research into the recruiting and enrollment of police officers, minority police officers. So I'm very, very sensitive to this issue. When there are large numbers of people who do not think the system works for them and in some ways works against them, we have to respond to it. And so in Cleveland, across the state of Ohio, we've been very aggressive in terms of saying, we hear you, we understand it. There are going to be a series of additional recommendations that's going to respond to the fact that community understands police and police needs to understand community. There's going to be money for training, for data collection. We've been over this. Fortunately, we started this months ago. We're the only task force on police and community that I'm aware of in the country, and it's serving us well. But the credit goes to the leadership in Cleveland who have spoken with one voice saying protest, but no violence is acceptable in Cleveland, and the people of Cleveland should be proud of what's been happening here in the last 24 hours.
And of course, this is the second major case we had. You have the Tamir Rice case, the 12-year-old boy, again unarmed, shot. This is going to take some time, isn't it? I mean, what is it going to take to heal the community?
Well, the Tamir Rice case is something we, of course, are all watching, and we hope we'll get a resolution, a decision on that sooner rather than later. But what it's going to take is the ability to lift everyone, to make sure that people in these communities know that there's an opportunity for them, that there is hope, that people in authority are listening, that there will be solid responses. And so we're just not talking about our task force. We're talking about solid recommendations that we intend to carry out. And Senator Nina Turner, African-American Democrat, who I had as part of the leadership of this team, made up of pastors, made up of community activists, the FOP. They've come forward with unanimous recommendations to start to right this problem and be very responsive, not just in Cleveland, but of course all across the state of Ohio. That doesn't mean this is the total solution, John. It doesn't. But it means we're on top of it as best we can. And again, the people of Cleveland protest. They ought to protest. That's their right. But violence has been kept to an absolute minimum in that city, and God bless the people of Cleveland.